Let's do a little Super Bowl fill in the blank. We're both home. You got home Friday. You didn't stay for the game. I wish you had stayed for the game. I stayed for the game, got home last night. Great to be home, but there's still plenty to talk about from one of the great Super Bowls in recent history, if not ever. That 10-point comeback in the fourth quarter, a thing of beauty. And let's do a little of that fill in the blank regarding Super Bowl 54. First topic, the best player not named Patrick Mahomes was...
Oh, it's between two people for me, all right? Chris Jones or Nick Bosa, and I'm going to have to go with Nick Bosa. I think Nick Bosa was the second best player on the field. I mean, when I watched the film back yesterday, Mike, it's just amazing how many plays Nick Bosa was around Patrick Mahomes and made him feel uncomfortable. That's the one thing that jumped out for me on the film in general, where I knew on TV Mahomes was under pressure, but then when I watched the game on the coach's film, it was more pressure than I even gave him credit for on Sunday sitting on my couch. But I'm as much as I like Chris Jones, I got to go with Nick Bosa here.
Yeah, you know what? I don't disagree with that. I would probably go Nick Bosa. I think, I want to give Deebo Samuel a little love because they got away from using him, but early in the game, it was almost like a man among boys type of a thing with him. He had the longest run ever by a running back in Super Bowl history. They tried to set it up for him to throw a pass when they went back to that same look that they used early in the opening drive of the game that resulted in a field goal. He decided not to throw it, ran for a first down instead. But it just felt like he was moving at a speed different from everyone around him, and I just wish they would have used him more.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, like if again, I'm sticking up for my buddy Kyle Shanahan with what he did at the end of the first half and what he did on the 2nd and 5 when it was 20-17. If I was going to say one thing to my buddy Kyle Shanahan where I'd go, where did this go? I would have gone, where did the Deebo Samuel runs go late in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter? Because you're right, that was such a big part of their game. They were having a lot of success with it, and that would be one thing I would question him on, just because of how talented of a player he is. But I understand that. Yeah,
it's almost a Taysom Hill type of a thing where, we felt after the playoff game between the Vikings and the Saints, if they had used Hill a little bit more, maybe they win. Maybe if they use Deebo Samuel more, the 49ers are the ones who win the game.
Yeah, no, listen, I hear that. He is a running back he is a wide receiver in a running back's body. He is special that way. He is a weapon. And I would think, he's got the type of skill set that I think Shanahan will continue to develop more and more plays around him to screw over defenses.
Okay, next topic. If the 49ers had blanked, they could have stopped the Chiefs' avalanche of points in the fourth quarter.
Defensive scheme flexibility. That's what I want to say, Mike. The 49ers play that Seattle scheme. I said this in the first hour. 3 10-point fourth quarter leads have been lost in the Super Bowl history of 54 years of them. They've all been the same defensive scheme. Hey, on 3rd and 15, I'd have liked to 49ers double Tyreek Hill. Make them throw a deep pass to Travis Kelce. 15-plus yard completions and things like that are not his nature. To me, that would have been something. I just wish they would have been a little bit thinking outside the box that way. Take away one of the go-to players or aspects of that Chiefs offense when they were up by 10 or up by 3 or whatever it was. They continue just to play what they play.
Hey, my position on how they could have slowed down the Chiefs' onslaught in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Keep Patrick Mahomes, as you said all year long, drinking Gatorade on the sidelines. Chew up the clock, and chew up the clock. Don't throw the ball. One of the great ironies of the 2019 postseason, they had gone, and I know they were having trouble running like they did against the Vikings and the Packers, but there's a point where you just take your chances. You use Deebo Samuel. You mix it up. And, Chris, here's one thing I don't like about NFL play calling. When you use a play and it works, why don't you use it again?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like they could have done the reverse flip to Deebo Samuel again. They used it twice and it worked both times. One time he ran it. One time he tried to throw it and then ran instead. When that guy is man among boys, just get the ball in his hands and let him create like Patrick Mahomes does.
Yeah.
So find a way to chew the clock. Find a way to keep Mahomes off the field. That's what they should have done.
Yeah, I get it. I understand it. I understand the thought and everything. Again, I got no problem with the play call. And to your question, with your asking, why not run it again? You're right. Coaches fall into that trap too much. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sometimes I think coaches look at those plays as gadget plays where, okay, yeah, yeah, it is a little gadgety, sure, but it's successful and it has a purpose. And, you know, in this particular case, the Chiefs were all over just the pure running back run plays. That's where they had pretty good success for the most part of the night. When it was running between the tackles, the Chiefs, they stood strong. It was the gadget Shanahan outside run plays that had success. And, you know, I get your point there.
Is there a concern among coaches that if you go to that well too often and it blows up, you look bad among your peers?
I think a little bit of all of it. I think, you know, there's risk in those type of plays too. You know, oh, man, we went to the well one too many times and the defensive end finally didn't bite and we lost 10 yards. Oh, Jimmy G, and, you know, the toss was a hair off, or, you know, he is a receiver, not a running back, and he dropped the toss, whatever it may be. I think all those fears go into coaches' heads a little bit to where they just go, yeah, they go back to the conservative, this is what works. I know it works. We've practiced it a lot. Let's just do that.
Okay, next topic. Most questionable call of the game by the officials was?
You know, I mean, first off, I want to say great job by Bill Vinovich, right? All right. Early in the game, did you see that? You know, we had the coin toss. Bill Vinovich took your advice, Mike. Did you know that? Kansas City didn't know how to answer the defer question.
You mean the don't be an idiot advice?
Exactly.
Don't do what an idiot would do?
And he just took it over. And he's like, yeah, you want to kick the ball, right? Yep, you want to kick it, right. He finally took charge to where we were talking about, I know early in the year, like, yeah, come on, let's not try to screw the other team up because they don't know the language of the like, they need to change that altogether anyways. It's just stupid if it's that confusing. And guys who played football their whole life still don't know what to freaking do. Like, change it. But the most questionable call of the game, I have no issues with any of the closest one to me was the Damian Williams touchdown. You know, I do think he got in. You know, but this is to the point of Mike Florio again. Like, I'd like to see us have a little more advanced technology with plays like that.
Yeah, so we would know if that ball had
really
crossed or at least kissed the plane before the foot was out of bounds. Hey, Sean Payton was on with us last week. Sean Payton was on with us talking about the Zebra Technologies, next-gen stats, and the things they can do and the stuff they can put in the ball. It was pretty clear he's in favor of embracing technology, so we know, is the ball across before the foot hits the white line?
Right.
And it would have been it would have been like in tennis, they know when the ball hits the line, right?
I know, right.
It would have. There's no room for discussion. There's no room for debate. The ball is at or across the front of the goal line before the foot goes out. I think for that moment, and you've given me an idea, I'm going to write about this. This is something we really need to get into.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough visual evidence to overturn it.
No.
Okay, well, but maybe it was wrong. We just don't know. And if you had that precise technology, you would have known. And it is a Super Bowl deciding call, right? Because if he's not in, it's fourth down. You're going to kick a field goal, you're going to go for it. I mean, who knows? We'd have to go back to that point again, but it put the Chiefs ahead late, and it really allowed them to win the game. And I think it's all the more reason to have the technology and to spend. NFL, you're going to be making so much money off of gambling. Please, please. It's not about making as much money as possible, except when the players are trying to get paid because they haven't made it and they don't own the teams. But for the NFL, spend the money on the technology so we avoid topics like this. I guess it's good for us, right? That's what Jeff Fisher said once upon a time when he was on the competition committee and we were agitating for expanded replay. Well, it gives you something to talk about. Well, yeah, but I'd rather not talk about it. I'd rather that we get the calls right and we feel that we can move on and everyone's confident that accuracy is being honored and achieved. For me, the most questionable call, and I've been hearing a lot about this from 49ers fans, you know, it's never we weren't the better team that day.
Right.
It's always someone screwed us. And, you know, no holding penalties the entire day for the Chiefs. No offensive holding. When you consider that four horsemen of the apocalypse they were trying to contain, are you telling me at no point during the day any of those guys got held? That's a little questionable for me.
Well, yeah, I get it. I mean, again, I think the history of the Super Bowl, though, there's normally not as many penalties called. Why is that? Well, it's the best refs, for one. Okay, so they're there for a reason. They don't over-officiate the game. Two, what's the other reason? Well, both of these teams are in the Super Bowl because they're good and they don't commit a lot of penalties. So that's part of it as well. And then I think three, naturally, yes, I think we've seen here in recent history that the refs kind of let the teams play in the Super Bowl. It's only going to be egregious penalties that are going to get called for the most part. Now, again, I wasn't sitting there watching every block and everything like that. Hey, do I think they called it a little looser that way? Yeah, sure, I do. But I also could point out a few plays and go, ooh, the 49ers got Chris Jones hooked here, and that could have been called as well. So I'm not going to buy into that. I'm not going to buy into that. If you want to complain about anything, you just want to say, hey, why don't we officiate the Super Bowl the way we do the rest of the year? That's where it's a little different sometimes, and I feel like in the playoffs it changes to a degree altogether.
And that's part of what good coaches have to factor into their preparation, because if they're not calling holding, you know what? Go hold.
Push the limit.
Right?
That's exactly
right. If they're not going to call it, hold.
Right.
Take advantage of it. It benefits both teams equally. All right, a couple more before we break. Blank was the biggest thing I was wrong about in this game.
Well, I think it's got to be like I never would have thought that the Chiefs would dominate the time of possession and be the one that kind of kept the ball and – not that they dominated, but they won the time of possession by a significant amount of time, where I really thought at the very best it would have been flipped around, where like the 49ers would have had the ball for 33 minutes and it would have been the Chiefs at 27. And I was more like, man, I hope it's not like the 49ers have the ball for 40 and the Chiefs only have it for 20. That's really where I thought the game could go. So that was, I think, something I didn't look at. The run game, Andy Reid's patience with it, I did not expect that. I thought he would use more of the passing game to help out the run game, screens, things like that. But he was patient, and Andy Reid threw us a curveball and showed us that he is capable of running the ball in big game.
Hey, you know what I was wrong about? I was wrong about the Chiefs winning by double digits. I never would have dreamed that they would be the team to win big.
Right?
I thought they would win, but I thought it would be close.
It's the
if it was going to be double digits, it was going to be the 49ers. I did not envision under any set of circumstances the Chiefs winning that game by 11 points. That was a stunner.
Damnedest thing ever, Mike. I still was in disbelief last night. I came home and a few times last night with my wife, I was just like, I still can't believe what we saw last night. I mean, it was 20
the camera
to 10.
cut to me during. I got the cough button, but the camera can't cut to me while I'm coughing. Wrong cut. That's all right. It happens.
All right.
Hey, it happens.
But 20 to 10.
I still have that last little bit of bronchitis. Aren't you glad I'm not sitting next to you?
Yes, I am. I'm very grateful that you're not sitting there coughing on me like you were all last week. Yes.
All right, one more real quick one. It will be blank if the Chiefs aren't the AFC representative in the Super Bowl next year.
It will be blank if the Chiefs aren't in next year's Super Bowl.
Which team will it be? Not it will be disappointing or happy.
Okay, that's where I was
Which
like,
team?
I
don't know. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Put in whatever words you want. It will be blank if the Chiefs aren't in the Super Bowl next year. Put in whatever words you want.
No, yeah, I'm going to say it will be upsetting to me if the Chiefs aren't in the Super Bowl next year. I think they're set up. I think this is only going to catapult the Kansas City Chiefs. I just look at them as one of those teams that's going to feed off this. And like I said yesterday, yeah, they're the favorite. I mean, I know Baltimore's dangerous, and I know New England ain't, going to sleep at night here or anything like that either. But I just look at this like I only think this is going to make Kansas City greater. Andy Reid, the pressure's off. Mahomes, you've done it. You're an MVP. You've done it all. There's nothing. You've overcome the greatest obstacle. You beat the best defense in football, and you were down by 10. To me, like, the pressure's off. There'll never be a situation again with the history of those two together where they're going to be like, we can't overcome this. They're going to be – I just think this catapults them into greatness, and I expect them to be back in the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, I do too. I think that the question is, will they win a second one, depending upon the quality of the NFC opponent. But all due respect to the Ravens, and Kansas City will play at Baltimore next year. They also play at New Orleans, a couple of good road tests for the Chiefs. Their home schedule, the toughest games are and who knows? Look, they own their division. I don't want to disrespect the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos, but they own that division. They got the Patriots and they've got the Texans coming to town. Easy schedule that they should be right in the mix for a first-round bye, if not home field advantage.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.